Welcome to Raw Talks. I'm your host, Lenore, and here is where the people connect to the story.
What's up, you guys? I'm Brittany Lenore, the host of Raw Talks TV, and welcome to another video. So if you haven't yet subscribe, and turn on your notifications right now. So I released a word about how God is going to judge the mountains, the 7 mountains of influence. And 2 of those being the entertainment industry and the government. And God always confirms his word with scripture. So I kept hearing the Spirit of the Lord say Obadiah. We don't really hear about that book of the Bible, but it's a book of judgment. It is literally only 1 chapter, but it's super powerful. And I just wanted to share some scriptures with you. Obadiah chapter 1, verse 15, it says, "The day of the Lord is near for all nations. As you have done, it will be done to you. Your deeds will return upon your own head." God is in control of all things, even pagan nations, and will use them to accomplish his sovereign purpose and judge them in due time. I feel like a lot of believers in whatever nation we're in, we feel like, man, we're always coming
last. We always have so much against us, so much
adversary. But the Bible tells us that we will have adversary because we are children of God, because we're choosing to go through the narrow gate and not the wide gate. And when I released the word in the 2024 prophetic word, if you haven't watched that video, go back and watch that video. God said, in the realm of government, the mountain of government, he said, I am going to reveal my lordship, and we will see one nation under God. Literally, the United States goes off that slogan on the back of money. However, we don't really put God in his rightful place when it pertains to our nation. But God is not just judging our nation, who deems to be one nation under God, but he's going to judge all the nations. And he said, whatever you have done, it will be done to you, right? And in verse 4, I love Obadiah because I really don't hear a lot about him, but he was a prophet and he had an unusual ministry, and he was one that sees. He was a seer. So I can relate to him, and I can relate to the aspect of being very unusual in your ministerial gifts. So verse 4, it says, "You who say to yourself, who can bring me down to the ground? Though you soar like the eagle and make your nest among the stars, from there I will bring you down." This was the scripture that God gave to me pertaining to the mountain of entertainment. Well, God says people have submitted themselves as gods. They have carried the spirit of entitlement as if they're better than, and nothing can touch them. And God said, I am going to bring a spirit of humility upon them publicly. And this scripture really encompassed what God is saying. Like, it was such a powerful scripture, and it reminded me of the word that he said. I just didn't have the scripture at that time, but I released what God was saying to me in my spirit, man. So now we have the scripture. God's going to back it up, right? So then in verse 7, it says, all your allies will force you to the border, and your friends will deceive and overpower you. Those who eat your bread will set a trap for you. They will set a trap for you, and you will not detect it. But this aspect where it talked about your friends deceiving you and they will overpower you, we're coming to a place where people are not going to be able to conceal who they truly are to the people of God, because we're going to have a gift of discernment. So you need to be asking God to discern who's around me, who's amongst me, who's for me, who's against me. And this mainly was talking about the Jacob and Esau story. You know, how one stole each other's birthright or giving it away. And he's saying, just because what you did to your brother, I'm going to get his inheritance back. It does not belong to you. The true inheritance belongs to this twin and not that twin. So I love how God does that. And one of the summaries that they put in this particular Bible, because I got a new Bible, I got this Bible. And it's very different. It was like viral on TikTok, and I bought it after it was like not viral no more, but it's very useful. So It says the prophecy was primarily meant to encourage the people of Judah, even though it appeared that pagan nations were going unpunished and often emerging victoriously over God's people. Their fate was sealed. They will not go unpunished. God will care for his people in spite of the rejection they have faced at the hands of the Edomites, and ultimately bring them back as a remnant to the land he had promised. I love that about God, because God's word does not return it to him void. He don't care what it's looked like for years. He don't care what it's looked like for generations. If he said a thing, it's going to be. So that's where our faith has to be ignited, and we have to trust that God will do exactly what he said he was going to do. And that's why it's imperative for us to read our word so we can go back to the promises of God. What did he say? Has it not come to pass? Do I see sprinkles of what God is saying? Is my path aligning to what God said? Let's go back to what God said. Let's read the promises. Let's read the covenants that belong to us, so that we can know that God's hand is still in the midst of prospering us, to giving us a life, and a life more abundantly. The enemy comes to confuse. He comes to destroy. He comes to derail. He comes to delay. But at the end of the day, God's hand is upon our life, and we have to remember that. So I just wanted to do this video as a confirmation with using scripture of what he said pertaining to the mountains of influence for entertainment and government. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and just go back and listen to the 2024 prophetic word. Love you. Bye. Why did I do that? Who does that? Bye.